So I was listening to the TikTok the other day, which is where I get most of my information.
Yeah,
Okay, but actually, let's be real.
Where you get your inspiration.
I start there, and then I will look it up. Does that look like AI or is that real? But anyway, okay, so one of the ladies that I follow, she's out of Florida. She's a real estate attorney, and she kind of talks about like real estate stuff, and then she also talks about like her own stuff, and she buys houses and she buys rentals, and then she is currently like selling her own house. So she's kind of doing a video series about that. And one of the topics that she talked about, and it got quite a bit of views and comments and whatever, is open houses and who is there. So like she said, I went to this open house and the selling agent was there running the open house and was kind of following them around to the point where she had to look at her realtor that was with her and be like, can this lady leave? Because I want to talk to you about it. And whatever. And then the end of her video, she also talks about how she like made a total like bad mistake, and she went, and right as she was leaving, she was like, I like really like this house. And then she looks up and there's a camera right there. Yeah. And even though there's supposed to be some kind of like disclosure, you're not supposed to listen to the Ring cameras. There were tons of real estate professionals on there saying like, oh yeah, my people watch in real time. Oh, what did they say as they're leaving, catching on the doorbell camera and whatever. So I just wanted to get your thoughts about the whole story. And she was floored. Like apparently in Florida, the selling agent does not host an open house. It would be just a random buyer's agent, maybe in the same company or a friend that comes in and like shows the house on the open house days. But that's not like what I have experienced.
Right. So it's not a requirement, and it's going to be how individual realtors run their business or what their brokerage requires. Okay. So, but it is supposed to be a licensed party who is hosting the open house. Now, rules have changed, and obviously there are some variances in different states and everything like that. But generally what we would say is that it's not just going to be Joe Blow coming in and hosting an open house, right? Now, the seller themselves could also hold an open house. So it's not just real estate people who do open houses. If you see...
Is that like if it's for sale by owner only?
If it's for sale by owner, or... if the seller would decide that, hey, it's a good weekend for us to have an open house, and the agent's like, okay, if you want to do an open house, great. I wouldn't ever want that. I would not want my seller to be in that position, because you are really the buffer between them and the outside world, right? So I don't think that's a valid right course of action. Is it a possibility? Sure. There was a period of time way back when open houses were really like, there were 40, 50, 100 open houses on any given weekend. You didn't have enough manpower to, if you were carrying back in the day, we would carry 10, 15, 20 listings, right? Well, you don't have the manpower for one person as the listing agent to hold each of those open. So then that's when you may ask if there's an agent who doesn't have a listing, hey, you want to hold an open house? If there's any buyer leads, you get that. Then that's where kind of the handoffs would start, right? Okay. And there was a period of time where people would use like family members, knowing that, hey, you can't give any real estate information. All you can do is ask them to sign in and hand them a sheet. That's it. You can't answer any questions. You direct them to the agent, and then that way there's at least another party there. I like the idea of having another party if you know that it's going to be a really big open house, because one person still, you don't really get to answer questions or do any of that. Now, one of the other things you were talking about is that this lady was there with her agent and the person hosting the open house was walking around with them. That's not cool.
Yeah.
Like, my job is to help answer questions or point things out, especially if it's an individual who doesn't have their realtor there with them. Once they answer the question that they have a realtor, I'm not going to do all of the spiel, right? I'm not going to try to engage in that respect. I'm going to be courteous of the relationship that they have with their realtor, and I'm going to do what I'm supposed to be doing elsewhere. But if they had a question, yes, I'd be glad to answer it, whether their realtor was there or not. So I think there's that professionalism really needs to go a long way, especially when you're in an environment like an open house.
Yeah, she said that she just felt like this lady was listening to what they were saying. She wasn't free to be like, I don't really like those floors.
Yeah.
Or, oh my gosh, this is super underpriced. Or, whatever her opinion was of it.
For sure.
She couldn't say it because this lady was like, hello. And I remember when we were looking at houses, we said something and then you got a text.
Yep.
That literally answered it.
Yeah.
And I was like,
we were like, it says there's another bedroom. Did we miss it?
yes, that was it. And you had to go outside
We
by
had
the
to go
pool.
outside by the pool to go up the stairs to get to the other.
And suddenly
suite
a
area.
text message came in. It was like, oh, by the way, the 5th bedroom is blah, blah, blah.
Yeah. Totally listening in at that point. Now, in our area, our disclosures clearly state when a seller is listing the home that any recording devices are supposed to be turned off. And if they can't be turned off, then they at least have to be muted where they're not listening in on that.
Yeah.
Now, does somebody actually do it? Probably not. Is it recording and then they could go back and watch it anyway? As I told you, we just assume we're always being monitored. We're being watched. They can hear what you're saying. So if you want to give it away, jump up and down and say you love it, then we're going to pay more.
Yeah.
If you want to keep the poker face on and then, hey, we can play this and negotiate and get the better deal, then at least we've got some leverage because they don't know really what the thought was.
Yeah.
You got to understand. In this day and age, assume you are being monitored.
Yeah. So when you talked about there was, 20, 30, 50 open houses, I went to an open house a couple weeks ago just to see it.
Yeah.
It was really pretty. And she handed me a paper that said, are you interested in Centerville or Springboro or Beaver Creek? And she had a list of all of the other open houses in the area. And that was the first time I've seen that.
Yeah.
Because really when we were looking, the most recent time, there wasn't open houses happening because you put something on and then 2 hours later, it's already under contract.
Or worse, you print all your material and then the next day your seller says, oh, well, I want a price drop. And so you're going like, okay, well, I guess I'm marking through this. I mean, it's just a changing in the market. We are starting to see open houses again, starting to click back up, but nowhere near what we had before. And, that's the big thing is that you just want to be prepared. Information is outdated as soon as you print it.
Yeah.
Everybody's got the apps on their phone or anything like that.
Well, this was a Sunday afternoon, and there was a good 30 open houses just in Centerville.
Yeah.
And then there was another probably 20 in Springboro, and then another like 20 in the Beaver Creek area. And she asked like, oh, which one are you interested in?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've done that before. So
it
just
and it wasn't like one
good
company specific. It was just everywhere.
Yeah.
Like we don't have Zillow on our phone.
No. The other thing is if somebody's looking at a particular price point, so I would do the printout for those price points, which may take people to different communities or something like that.
Oh, okay. Yeah. This one had the address, the address, and then it had the amount that it was listed for, who the agent was, how many bedrooms and bathrooms.
Good.
And then what the open house was. So was it like 1 to 3 or was it 3 to 5?
Time range.
Whatever.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah. And then so you also said that, if you want to do the poker face and then go into negotiations. So that was another TikTok that I saw where these realtors were like debating where basically it's like a strategy to come in and basically like shit on the house and then be like, oh, but I would like to offer you this amount of money.
Yeah, but go back to the last episode we did where you were talking about the realtor that got sued because they gave the crappy feedback.
Yeah.
Well, if you say it and it's recorded, then you're going to go down that same path. You're going to be held liable for what you say.
Right.
So you can't understand. You just have to
know.
And
I think that like just don't give feedback if you're going to submit an offer because obviously like if you submit an offer, you somewhat like it. Instead of like, oh, I like A, B, and C, but I don't like X, Y, Z, L, M, N, O, P, and then you are, oh, but here's an offer and let's do 40,000 under asking just to see if I can get it. Like it doesn't make sense to like a normal human being. They would be like, then why are you offering if there's nothing good about it?
Right. And that's where being common sense makes good sense, right?
Yeah.
Using common sense makes good sense.
Yeah.
You just have to understand.
Yeah.
But a lot of times, people don't really know what they are going to like better. So that whole thing again, how quickly are you responding and giving feedback? Well, you can do it. It's easy. You can do it on your app as you're driving away. I don't do that just for that reason. So I'll give you another example of what recently happened. Hot here, a lot of traveling going on, out-of-state buyers, right? So I've got two different scenarios I give you. One where I've already worked with this couple for a while. They have all of the listings that are going through their portal to match their criteria, right? And really hit or miss, nothing really coming up. Well, the daughter that lives here just recently had the baby. So now there's more of an urgency for wanting to live in our area and everything. So, hey, we're coming in, we're going to do this. Great. Next thing I know, I have one of my agents who's going out on vacation and, hey, can you take care of, I have out-of-state clients that are coming in. I'm like, okay, great. This is going to be fun. I got 2 out-of-state buyers, which means the pressure is on because they have a limited amount of time. So you have to show them as many houses as you can so that they have the opportunity. So when I start working with a new client, there isn't really that rapport that's been built up yet. So you were talking about the agent walking around and they didn't feel like they could talk. You get that with a new buyer is that they don't really want to talk amongst themselves even because they don't want to really just say what all they hate or they love because they're not sure about you yet, right?
Yeah.
So it takes a little bit, and that's how I try to break the ice, and I'll make some comments and just try to, encourage that conversation. And by the way, just because this is the first house we see, you don't have to love it and write an offer on it. We've got more lined up. And then that kind of lets them know, oh, okay. Or, hey, I don't know about you, but this may not be fitting your needs, at least what was expressed to me. So you aren't going to hurt my feelings if you say, hey, yeah, no. I can already tell there's too much work. I don't like the area, whatever. And we don't have to stay here for 20 minutes. Like, we don't have to walk through and
I
take
remember
the
there were
time.
some houses we walked in and we were like,
Nope.
yeah.
And it does not hurt my feelings. I do say, while we're here, at least go in, because there could be some surprise, some pleasant thing.
And we
that
had
you can
some of
find.
those too.
Absolutely.
From the outside, it looked tiny. From the back and the inside, it was huge.
Yeah. So that's the reason, and that's kind of, and so then by the time they get a couple of those icebreakers, they realize I'm there for their benefit, right?
Yeah.
And so we'll go through that process. Well, so back to the original couple, my clients that I have worked with, who are looking for a very specific type of property. They are looking to downsize, per her words. Per his words, well, I really still would like to get my 3-car garage so that I have room to put all of my stuff in. Well, she rolls her eyes, he rolls his eyes at her, like it's this back and forth, right? So we've got all these places lined up, and they're like, yeah, the first one we pull up to. So the first house we pull up to, standing there, garage door is open, there's a car in the driveway, and I'm like, I've got first morning appointment, so like, did somebody beat us here? I'm trying to figure this out. And well, it turns out it's the seller. And so I finally, when I'm like, well, they're not leaving, I'm going to go up and see. We've got an appointment time. So I go up, he identifies himself as the seller, and I'm like, oh, I'm so sorry. He's like, no, I thought they canceled you. And I'm like, no, sir, I did not get a notice of being canceled. He's like, well, we accepted an offer last night. I'm like, well, that's really disappointing because obviously we wouldn't waste our time.
Yeah.
We would have moved on. I'm sorry. I don't mean to intrude or anything like that. And here's my clients that are standing at the doorway, and they're like, oh my gosh, this is it. This is the one. And I'm like, oh my gosh. And he's like, oh, well, you want to come in and take a look because maybe something could always happen with this. And I'm like, oh my gosh, no, we don't want to come in and take a look. We don't want to come in and take a look because you know what's going to happen, right?
They're going to love it and it's not going to be available.
And that is exactly what happened. So we spent all this time and they were telling them all about the community and all the bells and whistles and all the stuff. And I'm like, stabbing myself secretly, trying to say, just stop.
Yeah.
We got other houses we need to go to. So it obviously is not coming back on the market. It's under contract, and my people were very disappointed. But then it's like, okay, so by the time we saw second, third, fourth, fifth, all the other houses, right? They're like, well, this isn't going to work. This isn't going to work. then we come to another house, and they're like, I don't think this is a busy road. I'm like, please understand that I know this area. And yes, while that is a busy road, this is probably a property that you're going to appreciate. It's going to be, and it may not be the right fit, but I think it's worth looking at. Like, I am going through this house. I've scheduled this appointment in advance. I want to make sure that they are seeing it, right?
Yeah.
So we drive up into this area, into this driveway that has this circular driveway, this beautiful ranch home, 3-car detached garage plus a 2-car garage that's attached.
Oh, goodness.
And it's just on an acre of land. Now, the first house that we looked at was more than this house. This house has an HOA. The first house, that is not available. First house has an HOA on a corner lot, but still in a subdivision, right?
Yeah.
This house, private, exclusive feel, well crafted. This is what this area is known for, is quality, right? So he's like, well, this might be interesting. And I'm like, well, let's go into the house and take a look. Drop dead gorgeous kitchen. She's falling in love with this. It's everything. Looking around. And then we go out the back door where there's this nice patio, and then the gorgeous land, the grounds, the landscaping, all the stuff, right? And I'm like, so I know that you're probably not wanting to do yard cutting. Nope, I'll get it hired. I'll hire somebody for it. Now he's excited and seeing the possibility where it's always been her, right? And so we get into this garage, into the separate garage, the detached, and he's like, oh yeah. And I'm like, okay, well, we've just lost him. Yeah. He's going to stay here while we go look at the rest of the place. Well, so we end up going back through the house so that they could see where the bedrooms are. Now she's picking it apart. Nothing, she didn't like anything else on that side of the house. And I'm like, well, there's some options. Here, compare. I'm always going to come back to price. If you've got a budget and you want to stay in it, don't you want to get what's best for your value? Understand you want to get what's best on your list, but still value should be playing in there, right?
Yeah.
So, so they were definitely, his whole attitude changed. Like, she totally nixed it. Like, this isn't downsizing. This would just be moving all of your stuff up here. And so by the time we got to the last house, they were like, you know how when you have 2 kids and they aren't getting along and they're just going to battle over everything, like, don't touch me, don't even look at me type of thing. Yeah. That was how it was. And I was like, oh my gosh. so sad to see that it happened. Well, I took the one that they first liked and I went back to the office and I'm like, let me see if I can find any of those like that. So I did another search. So the next morning we go out and I find this great little cottage house that has a very low HOA, but it's a small community, so it doesn't have all of the bells and whistles and everything like that. She absolutely falls in love with it because it's got all the stuff that she wants. Mm-hmm. Well, he didn't come that day. And so she was like, well, we're going to be leaving, but I really want him to see it. Like, this is perfect. And she's rattling all this stuff. And I just, in the back of my head, I'm like, how does this compare with the 3-car garage that this man fell in love with, right?
Yeah.
Well, she convinced him to come and see it the next day. So we go back for a second showing and just not even happy. He didn't want to come in. And she's like, well, you can't tell anything from out here. So he comes walking in, but it was a no-go. He was like, nope. Oh, so you have shelves for your stuff, I see. And it was like, it's such a hard feeling as the realtor that you're in the middle of what's really going to be this squabble that's going to go on.
Yeah.
Because he wants what he wants, she wants what she wants, and they're not willing to come together and have this compromise.
Yeah.
And it's like, okay, well, great seeing you guys. Have a safe trip back. And I'm like, and they're done.
So are you still working with them or are they under contract?
Oh, no, they're not under contract. Oh. No, they left. And it's like, okay, well, when the baby's birthday comes up and you have to come to town, maybe we'll get another go at this. But
yeah,
you're not ready to buy at this point. He's either going to have to let go of some things or she's going to have to change, or, they're going to have to come together somehow because
Yeah.
It's so far
Or
apart.
there may be a house that's going to come up that,
So-
fits with both, because I remember going in and being like, I really like this. And then Mike was like, absolutely not. And I was like, you don't like anything that I like.
It's very common to happen for sure.
Yeah.
So yeah, it'll be interesting to see when and how they come back around. Ultimately, what brings them back to our area is going to be family that's here. So
Yeah.
we'll be looking.
Yeah. That's interesting. I always like the stories of what other people see in houses.
Yeah.
When you go look.
Yeah, it's fun stuff.
Yeah.
Thanks for joining us today on the Realty Podcast. If you enjoyed the knowledge and entertainment today, please subscribe and share with your friends. We will be embarking on a journey that bridges the gap between realtors and clients, uncovering the heart and tea of real estate.